Hey guys, welcome to another spoiled review over here at Stage 3 Entertainment. This time we're going to be doing Captain Marvel. Of course, Julien.
James.
So we're going to go right into spoiler talk. If you have not seen the movie, this is your spoiler warning. We are going deep diving into the movie. We're probably not going to do that many theories on Endgame because we already did that. But if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, this is your warning. James, let's first talk about your shot that you've made and how accurate you were.
So, if you go back, I believe it was back in December on this channel. I want to say it was around then.
It was about December, yeah.
We talked about how I watched the trailer, one of the early trailers on, and I was like, Nick Fury's petting that cat. That cat's scratching his eye out. Turns out, boom, called it. Thank you. Swish, another one.
Damn it.
And the whole thing is, they did the smart thing of kind of the whole time in the movie, they keep making little references to him possibly losing his eye, and he's like, "Nah, it's fine, until the end
When Goose scratches him and Ben Middleton's like, "Oh no,"
which was kind of anticlimactic in a way.
It was a very anticlimactic. Like that's why I was telling you in the review of Captain Marvel, I was just like, really,
Yeah.
really. Is this what we're gonna do for his eye that y'all been trying to say is because he lost it in a very big way? He only lost it because a Florian scratched him and it got infected. Are you serious?
Yeah.
But it's not the worst thing.
As far as the rest of the movie, so the whole premise is Carol doesn't know who she is. She just thinks she's a Kree. That's all she knows about her life. But people, mainly the Skrull, early on she gets in a fight with the Skrull, and all she knows is that they're her enemy.
Correct.
She's fighting them, and then they kind of more or less set up a trap, kidnap her, while they're going to pretty much, which is weird. They don't really talk about it too much. They go to save their friend, one of their Kree, and then it turns out they found a way to get his secret code, kidnap her, and they're using her memories because she has something special in her, which is pretty much that she's from Earth and she knew one of the older Kree who had something they needed.
Right, who is Marvel.
Yeah.
So, my thing is, and this is why I didn't want to say it into James on last week's Up to the Real.
Well, that was just the movie review.
I know, but the movie review, you also talked about on an Up to Real episode last week that, you feel like the Skrull is one of the Marvel, one of somebody from Marvel or somewhere in S.H.I.E.L.D. And the reason why I didn't want to say anything is because the way that they got the Skrull in this film. And so I felt like, now spoiler alert, well, we already gave you the spoiler warning. Skrulls are not the bad guys in this film.
In this one, correct, yeah.
Kree are the ones that are basically putting their foot down on the Skrulls, right? And they're perceived as the bad guy in this film. And the entire film, Ben Middleton, the only reason why Ben Middleton wants Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers is because she has memories that will link them to what Marvel was making.
Which is like a warp drive.
A warp drive, right. And so they just wanted to find the warp drive so they can go and recollect with their friends and family and stuff like that, right? So, with that being said, I felt like because they're doing that and because she's on that 25-year journey trying to help the Skrull go back home
or get a home,
I feel like that's why I was like, your theory, as much as I would love for that to be a thing, I don't think is a thing. Now, the only thing I can think of, and this is what I'm talking about with a coworker, is maybe a Super Skrull.
Yeah, I mean, I still think the Skrulls can be an enemy. Because just because these Skrull weren't necessarily bad, doesn't mean there's not... So the main way I think it would probably go now, because the Skrull in the movie, when she helps the main guys rescue their family and find the ship that they're on and stuff, when they first see Carol, they got kind of panic at first because they see her suit. I think the fact she still has this suit, there could be Skrulls still left on Earth somewhere who are going to see her fighting with the new Avengers, because they more or less said that she's going to become kind of the new de facto leader of the Avengers after Endgame. I think some Skrull could see her as an enemy, see the Avengers as an enemy, and then make a Super Skrull to fight them or something like that.
See, I think the Super Skrull is going to be a thing because of the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the whole. That's the
whole purpose of the Super Skrull. So I think you're right in that aspect. I think that's where the Skrulls are now going to go more towards. I don't think that they're going to be this big theory that everybody's trying to say is like they're taking over.
Shield or the Avengers.
Shield or the Avengers, right?
I think it's so possible, just not anytime soon now.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, they have it fresh in everyone's mind that the Skrull are good. I think it's something like 5 years down the road when you want to make a villain, you could be like, oh crap, it's a Skrull. Yeah. Like, that's something you could easily just incorporate at any point. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the things where this movie, it doesn't have a lot of substance to it.
No.
When you really break it down. One thing I personally did like is a majority of the characters are either female or black, which I thought was really cool.
Yes.
When you really think about it, because you have Carol, you have Nick, you have Carol's old friend from back in the day, you have Marvel.
Yes.
The only real male white character is Jude Law, who's actually a bad guy. Which in a way, he's kind of a bad guy because for a while he actually does care about Carol and he doesn't want her to find out the secrets about how they kind of try to kill her for a bit until they decide to take her in. And even in the end, he's fighting her and he like. There's a cool scene where they're in a kind of like a spaceship battle, and she bests him, and they're both on the ground, and he's like, "All right, Carol." It cuts to like a scene kind of near the beginning of the movie where they're doing hand-to-hand combat. And he's like, "Show me you can control your power. Fight me hand-to-hand. Show me you can defeat me." And she just blasts him. She's like, "I don't have to prove anything to you." I was like, "That's a pretty. I like putting tropes on their head. Like, don't do that." I wanted to see the fight, but I'm like, you know what? That's fine too. But yeah, and like while he's a bad guy, he's more like just a soldier. Because even when she's sending him back to his ship, and he's like, "I can't leave with nothing." And she's like, "Well, leave with this message. I'm coming for y'all."
Yeah.
But besides that, the movie is kind of just a whole lot of running from the Skrull.
Yes.
Because the Skrull is trying to track them down. And then Carol finding out who she is, which most people know she's a human. Like, you see it in all the trailers. And you know this already because she's Brie Larson. It did very little to set up for an Avengers thing at all. It just literally just showed who Carol was, how she would have ties to Nick Fury, which he was fine at. I mean, he didn't do anything. I always liked the character of Nick Fury with Samuel L. Jackson. There's like small little nods where he's talking about how it's like everyone calls me Fury, and the reason he realizes someone's a Skrull is because he says Nick or Nicholas on top of that.
Yeah, call him Nicholas.
And
Ben Wilson called him Nicholas on accident.
As you did say, there wasn't enough of Coulson for sure. There could have been more of him.
Way more Coulson than there should have been.
Rename. One thing I always hate. I hate stuff when it's a little too cheesy. They show how the Avengers get their name.
Yeah, because she does the Avenger call, and basically Nick Fury's like, Avengers Initiative.
Because it's on her ship, her plane. It said the Avenger. And so it goes, what do he call it something else, Initiative first, and then he deletes it.
I forgot what it's called. But
and that was kind of cheesy. Yeah, I don't know. They're talking about how the next phase of Marvel is probably going to be more space related, which makes more sense to have Captain Marvel kind of at the helm because she's a space related person. One thing I think someone pointed out to me that all the music in this movie is done by female artists, like it's female songs. I would have never noticed.
All the '90s film, '90s references. Well,
all the music at least.
I don't think it's all music. So for sure, Spice Girls,
Salt and Pepper, Gwen
Stefani. There's one band that was in there that I just was like, maybe was male lead. You might have fact checked me on that. If you look at the soundtrack, it'll tell you. But I think there's...
Because I think that was the whole point, is it was supposed to be all female.
Right. I think the point is, but I think there's one song that's not made by just a female-led or band, if I remember correctly. Just one.
Because the only one I was thinking that had any males at all was No Doubt, but it still has Gwen Stefani heading it. This is probably like the not soundtrack we want. I want the actual.
No, I want the actual soundtrack right there.
Yeah, Just a Girl by. Come on.
But while he does that, another thing that I want to talk about is, like, everybody's complaining that Carol doesn't have a love interest, and I'm like,
good. They don't need that anymore.
She doesn't need a love interest, so chill the hell out. Like, this entire movie, she really didn't need, like, a love interest. So, like, that's why I was just like, I don't get it.
You Gotta Be by Desiree, Connection by Elastica, I'm Only Happy When It Rains by Garbage, Crazy on You by Heart, Slippery Skin by Hole, Lita Ford.
Okay, I was wrong.
Nirvana would be the only one.
Yeah, Nirvana was the one. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
Nirvana was the only one, and everything else was woman led. No matter what, all the other songs were. And so, like, my biggest problem with the movie, like I said, is just she didn't have a character journey.
Yeah,
she was the exact same person from point A to point B, and
like she has like she realized like she doesn't. Her personality doesn't change. She just sees what's good and bad. She finds out the truth, and that's like the only thing that happens. She doesn't evolve as a person. She just gets more information that tells her what's good and bad.
Like I was saying on Matinee Talk, what I would have liked better is like you would have dropped that bomb about the Kree and the Skrull way early in the film when you talked about the little chip that she has in her head, and what you do is when she is plummeting down to Earth, you just disengage all of her powers. And from that entire film, literally, she's trying to find a way to unlock her potential and her powers through the knee, and then go from there. Like, that would have been a better character arc than what we got. But, I can't. That's nitpicking. And then, did you like all the 90s references they made?
Yeah, they were fun.
Okay.
I had no problem with them.
Okay.
I mean...
The only one that I was just like, True Lies? Really? You blow up Arnold Schwarzenegger on True Lies' poster when you're in Blockbuster? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't, it starts out, feeling that's going to be a little bit heavy, but it doesn't get too in your face about it. You're like, oh, a Blockbuster and a Radio Shack.
Cool.
And from there, it didn't seem like it was in the 90s to me. Which, for better or for worse. There's nothing that's 90s. It's like, oh, she's wearing a Nine Inch Nails shirt.
Yeah.
Samuel Jackson looks younger. Everything, nothing else really seemed...
The cars and all that, and then
he has a pager.
Yeah,
I guess.
Like I said, the props that they put around it, yes, made it more 90s, but it didn't give me 90s nostalgia. Yes, there were a few things like Blockbuster. There were a few things that just was like, oh wow, I remember this from the 90s, but it didn't feel like a 90s movie per se.
Yeah, because it's planes and spaceships, which, I mean, that doesn't change much over time.
Right.
So, it does no harm as a movie. That's what I would say. It did exactly what it needed to do. It set up who she is as a character. You let her know. It tells you her powers. There's a weird thing in the movie where the whole thing is she has this little biological chip type thing that you think is helping give her powers, but it's actually suppressing it more or less. The weird thing is when she takes it off. So there's what do they call this? The central intelligence or supreme whatever. And the way you talk to this thing is you pretty much... I figured...
The AI takes an image of what you perceive that you like and then uses that.
The weird thing for me is not even that, is that you're not really there.
No.
Your mind is there, essentially, is the way
Correct.
I took it. She takes it off there. So she's not physically taking it off her body.
Just basically taking it off, yeah.
But that worked. That was the only kind of weird thing we're watching. I was like, wait, how does that make sense?
That, and then the whole entire third act just didn't make sense.
Well, I mean, it's whatever. That I can, I think that made sense in its universe, but physically, if I have a dream where I can shoot lasers out of my hands, I don't wake up and I can shoot lasers out of my hands,
But see, here's my thing though. But this is what I mean. I agree with you on that. That's not my biggest nitpick. I think my biggest problem with this movie is the fact that, literally, you gave us this. She's exploding, rolling ships and stuff like that, right? Oh yeah, Ronan is in the movie literally for a minute, maybe two at the most. And you're sitting there, you're watching, seeing her blowing up all these ships, and Ronan doesn't do anything. He's just sitting there oh, my ships are being blown up. You know what? We're gonna not worry about this space jump whatever thing, right? We're just gonna come grab her later and use it and harness her energy. So In the middle of them fighting, she pulls all her ships. He pulls all these ships and then just go. And I'm like,
well, I don't think that's this movie's fault. That's more the fact it's just a prequel. And with prequels, you're bound by what you can do by what has already been told. Because you can't have her kill Ronan.
True, but she could have at least fought him.
I mean, he would get whooped. That's the whole thing. Like, he's not a fighter. He's a ruler. That's the main thing.
True.
Especially without an Infinity Stone, like, what's he gonna do?
True. Speaking of Infinity Stones, this is one thing that I was telling you last week that I was just like, this doesn't make sense. So, the Tesseract is the mechanism that Marvel was using, right? So here's where I'm confused, right? This is where I'm confused in terms of how the hell they got this, right? So, last time I checked in Captain Marvel, Howard Stark and Peggy Carter are starting S.H.I.E.L.D. at that point, right?
And wait, and what? You said in Captain Marvel? In Captain America?
Captain America.
Yeah.
And what happens is in Captain America, Captain America takes a ship, goes down, and basically freezes himself with the Tesseract. Or the Space Stone. And so what happens is, 2 or 3 decades later, Howard finds a ship to go pick up the Tesseract, but couldn't find Steve, yeah. Right? So from that moment, Howard and S.H.I.E.L.D. have this Tesseract, right? Mm-hmm. How could somebody who is just an Air Force pilot or a leader of the Air Force get their hands on the Tesseract?
Yeah, we talked about this a bit the other day, and I said the only logical way you can explain it away is saying because she has Skrull that she's taken care of, is that she used a Skrull to go in and get that for her.
But I have to reach for that because the thing is this: in '91, yes, Howard does die. Mm-hmm. Howard dies by the Winter Soldier, right? But he's still S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, or he's still a founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. So you're telling me that nobody from S.H.I.E.L.D. was just like, hey, that thing that Howard's been working on for a while, we need to keep our hands on that. And y'all started making weapons for it. Like, Howard started giving y'all weapons to build with the Space Stone. So, again, how did Marvel get her hands on it?
Yeah.
I don't know. And she's been working on this for decades, is what they said. Like, for a decade or something. So, it's like, so in 89 when she blew up, right? 89 when she died, in that 2-year buffer, like, Howard didn't have it. Like, when did Howard lose the Tesseract?
I honestly feel like the Tesseract was pointless in general for this because it's never used in any capacity for this.
No.
It's told
that it's the way that she got her powers.
Well, it's because she made the engine with it, yeah, but like...
But
it wasn't. The Tesseract wasn't in the engine, though.
Right, but that's how she got the powers.
Yeah, but she made the engine with it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You never see the Tesseract used in this for anything. It's just there, and it's told that they researched this to make the engine. It's like, well, okay. It felt like they could have not just had that in there at all.
I agree, and that's why I'm like, it doesn't make any sense for me. And then all of a sudden, you do the little after credit scene where Goose throws up the Tesseract, and it's like, oh, now it's on Nick's desk. Cool. But did we forget that, again, Howard had it decades before? You know what? I'm not even going to. Like I said, I was mad when I started thinking about that the other day, because I was like, yeah, they did have a Space Stone when Howard had the Space Stone. How in the hell Howard lost it? And he didn't die until 91, and Marvel died in 89, so how the hell? Yeah, don't make sense. So that's just me.
I mean, there's a lot of loopholes in the Marvel Universe if we really want to break them down.
But that was the one that really did bother me because it's like the S.H.I.E.L.D. have always had the Tesseract. And now you're telling me they never really had it? Yeah, sorry guys, y'all are confusing the hell out of people. And then my brothers didn't like the idea that, like, the little pager, how, like...
It was a text messaging device?
Yes.
That's not how pagers work.
No. We know how pagers work.
That's what
I'm saying is, what made me mad was, literally, you're telling me that she knew how to make that communications thing that could go up to 2 galaxies?
I mean, that I can buy more than other stuff, just because she's a space soldier. They would have to know how to do on-the-fly stuff. Obviously you can argue, like, it'd be done because it's unrecognizable tech to her, but she more or less... Like, they didn't make her, like, completely fish out of water on Earth.
No.
Like, which I appreciate. It wasn't like she's like, oh, so what's this movie, Blockbuster, VHS? Like, she's like, oh, it's a two-way communicator. It's a pager. Like, she wasn't just like, oh, technology.
And she knew how to fly the first draft of Queen Jet. Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can buy that more. Like, sure. Tony Stark made the Iron Man suit out of scrap metal. Like,
fair.
Sure.
Fair. Very fair.
Captain America's shield always comes back to him. Like, even Spider-Man makes a point of, like, that thing defies the laws of physics. Like,
very true. Okay. Fair. Should be nitpicky. Alright. But overall, yeah, 3 out of 5. Like I said, it's in the middle, upper half of the pack. I don't know if you still agree with that or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you compare it to every other movie, every other character's first movie, it's on the higher end for sure.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to the movies as a whole, it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. I'd say probably go see it if you care about the comic book movies, but...
I was going to say, if you're a comic book fan, go watch it. If you're not, wait until it gets on Disney Plus or rent it on DVD. But on that note, I will say this about Captain Marvel, though. It was a good entry. It was a decent entry. It was a really good entry. Would I watch it again? Yes. I would say it's not better. It's not better than Doctor Strange and the first Iron Man, but it's better than Captain America. It's better than Thor. It is better than Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have on the same level as Doctor Strange. They both do what they need to do.
Yeah.
I like the beginning of this movie more than Doctor Strange's beginning, but I like the end half of Doctor Strange more than this movie's end half. I like the beginning of this movie a lot. I thought it was really cool when she's fighting on the ship.
Yes.
And like finding out a little bit about her, but I think once they do the twist of the Skrull are good, I think that's when I kind of honestly lost some interest in it. Because,
that's what I was telling you.
Because she's not fighting anymore.
Yeah.
In that movie, like she doesn't fight again until like the very end, and
that's what I'm saying. The only few action sequences they gave her were good, but I just felt like you put yourself in a corner. Like I was telling you, I felt like Disney put themselves in a corner with this one, and now you got to find your way to crawl and push yourself out. That's why I only think the Super Skrull is going to be a thing. Hopefully we'll get that. Other than that, the only thing I could see Captain Marvel doing is fighting... Actually, I don't see her fighting anybody else.
Mm-mm.
I feel like like I was telling Johnny, I feel like she's going to be the Batman of the Avengers. Call me when y'all need something.
I don't know. I mean, she's supposed to be leading them now, so...
Is she, though?
That's what they said, that she's the next, like, de facto leader of the Avengers. So, that's what the Avengers is going to be probably changing up a lot pretty soon, so...
Which means... Because I saw on IGN yesterday, I love watching some of their snippets, but they did a feature where it was only Iron Man and Captain America, so yeah, Robert Downey and Chris Evans, and they both talk about, like, the stakes that they're going to do, so I'm like, don't tell me that both of them are dying.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm anticipating. She's taking over... Thor will probably go back to Asgard. She'll probably take over there. Thor's probably going to be the one who called me if you need me.
Yeah, Thor's going to be the one because he's going to try to rebuild Asgard. You're right.
Yeah, and then you're going to have probably Bucky and Falcon, her. Maybe one of the Guardians will stay behind in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I doubt that. They'll probably stay together.
No, they'll all go back together.
Yeah, I mean, and then a lot of the other
Black Panther is going to go back to Wakanda. Peter is going to go back to New York. Well... He's going to go to New York, and then he's going to do his trip in Europe.
Doctor Strange is probably going to become a more heavy part of the Avengers. Those characters that were not necessarily a part of the Avengers and were just superheroes who were helping the Avengers are probably going to become Avengers. So.
And I think for the first time, before they go fight Thanos, we're finally going to have them say Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, and I'm going to hate it.
I am going to hate it too, but it's 10 years in the making. It's 10 years in the making. But... on that note, that's your spoiler review of Captain Marvel. Tell us what you think about it. If there's some other theories that you have, let us know.
Who do you want to see as the next big bad?
Yes.
Sing Fang Foom, the dragon who wears purple pants? Me too.
Go from there. But don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications if you haven't. Follow both of us on our social medias. And that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for joining us, and stay tuned.